welcome to Tea and Biscuits. While I was planning this video, I realized that although I'm pretty handy in the kitchen, I have yet to find a scone recipe that reminds me of the wonderful ones I see at tea houses. So instead of showing you one scone recipe, please join me while I explore a few recipes until we find the one that we like the best. So, the first recipe I am making comes from the web. It's a simple recipe that can be made rather quickly, which is why this was one of my first British-style go-to recipes for quite some time. After combining the all-purpose plain flour with granulated sugar, baking powder, and salt, I use a whisk to mix the dry ingredients. This combination is the same for almost every scone recipe I've tried. Just the flours may be different. These may be self-raising flour, bread flour, or even pastry flour. I've learned I prefer to use a pastry cutter to blend the butter into the flour mixture first, then move to my hands. There's not too much butter in this recipe, so the pastry cutter isn't that useful. I'll continue to work the mixture with my hands until it resembles coarse sand or somewhat fine breadcrumbs. I find this to be quite a workout. My hands get so tired. It only takes a little milk to bind everything together. I use a knife to stir. This technique is used in many recipes. Maybe it's because there is less surface area on a knife to mix everything without overworking the mixture. It takes a gentle hand to get all the flour mixture worked into the dough without overworking it. Too much handling will create a tough scone. I've seen from other recipes where folding the dough and turning it 45 degrees until the dough lightly springs back works well. I find that it seems to work here to get the last of the dry ingredients incorporated into the dough. Sprinkle a little flour on your board and on your dough if it starts to stick. Did you know scones were first made in Scotland in the 1500s as a quick bread? The original scones were made with oats and griddle baked. Remember in my last video where I said scones were traditionally round? Well, these first scones were shaped into a large round, placed on a heated stone, and later on a griddle and scored into 4 to 6 wedges or triangles. So I guess you can say the very first scones were triangle shaped. However, I've never seen a triangular or square-shaped scone in the UK. I've seen the square ones in our local bakery. The word scone or scone is even more uncertain. Historians can't confirm whether the word is Scottish or Gaelic or possibly even derived from Dutch or German words. Now, press or roll out the dough to about a 1-inch thickness. I've realized my earlier mistakes were because I would roll out the dough to around a 1/2 inch instead. 1 inch is pretty consistent with most recipes. This recipe calls for a 2-inch cutter. Mine is about 2¼ inches. Flour your cutter and make sure the top of the dough isn't sticky either. And as I've learned from many recipes, make sure you press the cutter straight up and down. Twisting it will impact the amount of rise the scones will get. The scone should release easily from the cutter or else it won't rise properly either. This recipe asks you to brush the tops with a milk and egg mixture. I've also seen just milk brushed on top as well as just egg. In fact, I saw a video once where the baker held back just a little milk from the recipe and lightly dabbed milk from her fingers on the top of the scones. They didn't come out quite as golden brown as an egg wash would, but it worked just fine in a pinch. Just make sure whatever method you use, the liquid doesn't drip down the sides of your scones, as that can also affect the rise of your scones. Now this recipe says to bake these scones in a 425-degree oven for about 12 to 15 minutes or until golden brown. This recipe says to let the scones cool for 30 minutes. If you prefer a softer scone, cover them with a clean tea towel while they cool. Well, how do they look? I do see a nice center crack on some of them, but not all of them. This looks good. This looks good. This one came out lopsided. Nice rise, but no crack. Now the taste test. First, will it split well or easily? Yes, great. They are nice and soft in the center too. So I don't have Devonshire cream on hand, so I made a stiff cream. You can see how I did that in my previous video. This one I'm having the Cornwall way with a lemon curd first, then cream. This one I'm having the Devon way with cream first and then jam. Yum, I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. They aren't perfect, but maybe the next batch will. See you at my next video where I'll try another scone recipe to see if they will turn out even better. Thank you for watching. Bye!